Hey everybody, I'm live. I'm live right here, right now today. Let me get rid of, let me show the names with Brian Clark. Brian Clark, to me, has been someone I've just kind of, I don't even know how to say it, Brian. I've just always watched you. I've been enamored by the work you did with Copyblogger, and I am absolutely beside myself that I get to meet you in person here in a few weeks and have you at the Freelance conference. Thank you so much for being on air with us today.
Well, that's very kind, Emily. Thank you. I'm really looking forward to coming to Austin and seeing everyone at the conference.
Yeah, well, I wanted to jump right in because, like I said, we usually try to keep this 15, 20 minutes. I don't want to waste any of your time, and I want to make sure that everybody out there gets a chance to hear what you have to talk about. So some of you guys may not know Copyblogger because that was kind of where you got your start, right? That's how I know you.
Yeah, I mean, that's how most of the world knows me. Like all overnight successes, there's like, what was it?
20 years of work.
8 years of success, but smaller, right? And then, so basically, I quit the practice of law, had to tell my mom that I was going to try to earn a living by writing on the internet. This was 1998. She still thinks I'm crazy, but she knows it worked out okay.
Yeah.
And so I started my first business online, publishing email newsletters. Amazing that 20 years later, email is still going as strong as it is. And I had no idea what I was doing. I'd never taken a business class. I'd never read a marketing book. So that first business failed. But to support myself during that time period, I did learn how to build audiences with email newsletters. And so the only thing I had to sell really was my legal services. Even though I didn't enjoy practicing law, I had to pay the bills. So I started this legal email newsletter. And next thing you know, I have my pick of clients. I could have started a very powerful law firm from this, but I knew better than that because I knew I didn't want to practice law. And then, so a couple of years, that was in 1999. A couple of years later, I had to prove I could start a business that wasn't law. I started a virtual real estate brokerage, which at that time was kind of radical. Everyone, again, thought I was crazy. That seems to be a theme. If people think you're crazy, you may be doing something right, or you may be crazy. The difference is, and then that was a success in that I built, a very profitable small business. I was really good at marketing. I was terrible at management. And so that was kind of my trial by fire. You know how they always say you got to work on your business and not in it? Well, I learned that the hard way. But again, I was developing these techniques that we now call content marketing. We didn't call it anything really back then.
Yeah. I remember doing SEO before we had a name for SEO. So I get it.
Right. Of course. So that was really the genesis of, okay, blogging is really taking off. People are trying to make businesses out of it. This was in 2005. And I said, hey, they're going about it like I did with the failed business, which was trying to make money through advertising. Yeah. And I come along and say, look, two things. I had taught myself copywriting in the process of starting these businesses. And I said, look, you should apply direct response copywriting techniques to content because it makes it more engaging and valuable and gets more attention. And number two, you should sell products and services, not advertising. And as accepted as that is now, people just were out of their minds. Some of the big bloggers at the time just thought I was Satan. They did call me Satan, but they linked to me and their audience were like, I want to listen to what this guy says. And that was really the beginning of Copyblogger. And we went on a 13-year run. I launched 3 7-figure startups off of the site before 2010. And then we parlayed that into an 8-figure business that just recently in the last year and a half, we sold off. And I took a trip around the world with my family. So that's the short version of the story so far.
That is awesome. And I watched some of that trip, by the way. Thanks for sharing some of it as you go along.
Yes, that was fun. That's what Instagram was made for, I guess, to share pictures of your trip.
It's quite possibly and I know this isn't grammatically correct, the funnest way to share things is Instagram.
Yes, funnest is fine.
Good. I have a friend in Albuquerque that every time I'm around her, I do my best to use my word, funnest and funner, because it just drives her crazy.
Oh, I'm the writer in the family, but my wife is the grammar. I won't call her by
Oh,
the common, slur there, but
yeah.
she is a stickler for grammar. So she's constantly correcting me, and I'm like, I know the rules. That's why I break them.
So before we went live, we were chatting a little bit about, clarity. It's well, there's quite a few people out there saying, "Hey, I can make you a 7-figure freelancer." But you got real clear on that. Yeah, there's ways to do that, but I want to be clear that that's not how I made my 7 figures. I made it from the lessons that I learned, and I figured out how if I had to do it over again, I could create a 7-figure freelance business.
That's exactly right. Because
that?
I think most people outside of the VC get funded kind of game, which most people don't succeed at anyway. Almost everyone starts as a freelancer or some sort of consultant or some sort of solo client-based business. I mean, that's how we learn to become economically independent of traditional employment. And that's the vital first step. So if you're out there freelancing right now, my hat's off to you, because you've taken, in my mind, the hardest step. So my progression was, okay, start this business. And then when I'm tired of that, start another business. And when that one almost killed me because I was a terrible manager, start, Copyblogger, build an audience. And from there, that's where things really took off, because we were audience first and then product based, right? And it's so much easier to make larger sums of money when you're selling something scalable, and it's much more difficult to do with your time. So basically what I want to share with people at the conference is, yes, let's promote your freelance business. Let's pay the bills, but let's start a process of building an audience that fuels that business and naturally leads to more opportunities in other products and services that perhaps don't require your personal time. And I want to promote that as a process that's one thing instead of this one, which can be stressful and a little chaotic.
And takes a long time.
It can, yes, very much.
Yeah. So this is absolutely going to be a session on, hey, here's my lessons learned. You can do it the long way if you want to. Have a good time. But if you'll do it in this process that I'm going to show you, we can cut out a whole lot of time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm also going to cover some ways where you can transform your freelance business into a more lucrative endeavor without even moving into products. But eventually we're going to get there, because that's where my greatest success has been. And it's really due to building that audience that you're using just because you need to pay the bills now. So again, it is one process that gets better and better and better over time.
And one of the questions that I hear a lot is, how do I take a vacation? How do I go travel the world? How do I do all this stuff that I heard everybody talking about if I go become a freelancer? And that the answer to that is create products, or create systems or products or things, if you will, that doesn't take you right there in the moment doing.
Yeah, the creating systems and processes thing was what I didn't understand in my real estate business, which is why, I tried to do everything myself. I was miserable, burnout, all of that. We want to avoid that. So that is key. Audience, process, starting to think more about things in terms of systems instead of just, I got to be there to do this. And also delegating and partnering. Partnering with other people has been one of the great keys to my success. So we'll touch on all of those things, but I'm really going to push the fact that if you can build an audience, they will tell you what else they want to buy. And there's nothing more powerful than that.
That is awesome. So we have a question real quick. Ainsley Johnson is asking, what's your number one tip for blog posts? How to get people to comment, share, and engage?
Yeah, that was kind of the initial, when I went back to applying those certain copywriting techniques to content. That was what it was designed to do. Basically, your headline gets more people to read because it's very compelling, and it has a benefit to that particular type of person that you're trying to reach. Now, of course, when they get there, so it's not clickbait, it's got to back up that promise you made with the headline in a way that keeps them reading. That's really all we're talking about here, is The headline's the first thing they read, which makes them read the first sentence or first paragraph and so on. And they keep going. Next thing you know, you've shared something valuable. You've taught them something. You've made them a little bit better. And in this day and age of social media, we share that stuff because it helped us, but also because it reflects well on us when we share something cool.
Right.
And they got all the way through it, so they know it's good. Right.
Yes.
So that's really a big part of what Copyblogger has been teaching for 13 years. There's about 4,000 articles over there if you want to dig in.
There's a bunch. Yes.
Yeah.
Not to mention your podcast, Unemployable, which is pretty amazing
true.
all on its own.
So Unemployable is really aimed more at the business side of things beyond content, because content can be important, but really it's audience that is your key asset. And then you've got to run a business around it. So that's what the kind of stuff we try to cover at Unemployable.
Awesome. So one of the advantages I had, it sounds like, over an attorney that comes, moves into the freelance space is my world before freelancing was engineering. So I was all into processes and stuff. And
that's
so that
good.
To the point where I found myself spending more time building out processes and I was the only one doing them. So I was like, okay, maybe I can back off the processes.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you build the processes when it's just you, but then you can bring other people and plug them into it. And it's not the nightmare that it seems like it's going to be. So yeah, that engineering background, I'm going to, in my presentation, touch a little bit on productizing. But it turns out, I think the people who are best at that stuff have that kind of engineering, very logical mindset. And more creative freelancers may go, oh, that sounds good. What else can I do? And I'll go, okay, I've got another answer for you. So hopefully everyone shows up and is ready to hear some good stuff. That's
great. I know you're going to deliver some amazing stuff. Again, thank you so much for coming out. This is Emily Leach. I'm the founder of Freelance Conference. I was here with Brian Clark. I think most widely known as Copyblogger. You've done some other amazing stuff in your life as well. Again, thank you so much for your time. He's going to be at Freelance Conference on October 28th, which we will be celebrating our 5th year on the exact day that we started Freelance Conference 5 years ago. So if you haven't got your ticket, go to freelanceconference.com/freecon19 and grab a ticket, and we will see you in 2.5 weeks. Bye, guys.